find the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Has put in three wins on the trot, but today won't see a four-peat. With real life intervening, Rob won't be able to race today. Instead, our competitors may find a true driver's track deciding who the best driver really is. The goal is wide open, and everybody will be raring to claim victory here in Suzuka as we get ready to watch round 5 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is multi-time Grand Prix Legend champion Mick Claridge. Behind the scenes is our director Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Mick, we've seen in real life that the driver makes a big difference around here.
Yeah, Joe, absolutely. I've been messing with my stuff. I've been looking back through the history of this place, Joe. And I've been lucky, well, old enough to have seen every Formula One race here. And there's been some good ones over the years. Suzuka normally been the last race of the season, so there's been 13 championship deciders from the 1988 and 1989 Prost versus Senna battles to Damon Hill's 1996 world title, where Murray Walker had to stop talking because
he had a lump in his throat?
Sorry, Joe, yeah. He had a lump in his throat, yeah. Now, the track's just over 3.5 miles long, or just under 6 kilometres. Quite a big track, so just under 16 laps today. Lap times up front should be anywhere from around mid-high 59s to 201s, depending on the weather. There's 17 turns around this place, Joe, and in the 49, they're pretty tough to get through, especially the high-speed stuff, but we'll talk about that during the race. Well, that's enough from me now, mate. Let's jump on board the GSRC LOTUS 49 for a lap around Suzuka.
All right, we're in the GSRC LOTUS 49, so let's do a lap around Suzuka. Coming down to turn 1, it's going to be very difficult to come in here too wide, so passes are likely to finish before the first apex. That, of course, dumps you into the hairpin of turn 2. Try to square off the exit and keep enough control to get the car off to the right quickly. Now we enter the S's. These bends are difficult even in a high downforce car, but you chuck the 49 among them, and it's an exercise in throttle control and patience. Try not to get too greedy on each corner because you'll want to stay set up for each subsequent apex. This final right-hander is especially deceptive with the way the radius tightens at the end. Once you reach the last left-hand corner, ease onto the throttle and try not to understeer wide off of Dunlop. With the way this bleeds into the braking zone of Degner 1, it'll be important to be able to bring the car off to the left. Hit the binders and try to just clip that inside curb. Then give it a squirt of gas and slow it up for Degner 2. Use the banking here to keep your momentum up and try to keep confidence in that right foot as you exit the corner. Next up is the very tricky braking for the hairpin. The car really wants to get sideways as you downshift, but if you're brave, you can take it in here pretty hot. Like any other hairpin, try to late apex this sucker, but just as you start to get on the power, the long gentle curve of 12 will once again test your throttle control. You can't quite keep it flat out, and like many other corners on this track, you've got to hold to the inside as you exit to set up for the next one. This brings us to Spoon, which is taken as 2 apexes. Let the car drift out after the first one, and then try your best not to turn in too early for the second. The exit here is the all-important thing. The longest straight on the track, climbing up a relatively steep hill, will make momentum and a good launch critical to your lap time. As you let the car drift off to the right, try to spot your brake marker and throw out the anchor. This is not a modern F1 car, and you must slow down for this kink. Quickly bring the car across the track, and then you've got what will probably be a popular passing spot in the Casio Triangle. The scary part will be not knowing whether the car ahead will defend until it's pretty late because of the natural racing line. You can take a lot of curb here, but bleed onto the power off the exit until you're sure it'll grip. Drift off to the outside, keep your foot to the floor down the pit straight, and if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Suzuka.
You see a lap around here at Suzuka. It is tough in this car without downforce on it. We're waiting for qualifying to take place. So we've got time, of course, to go through the championship, starting with the F1 Drivers' Championship here in the series. Rob Olenek, who unfortunately can't be here today, is still leading, as I mentioned, having 3 wins out of 4 rounds. Certainly puts you up there. You can see Kika and Teal a ways back, but both of them have been quick. They could pick up the pieces today. Sightfigure hasn't shown up in a bit, so not sure if he's going to be coming back and continuing to challenge. Ian Haycox rounds out your top 5 for that F1 championship. Then, of course, we've also got the F2 championship. This is the amateur championship that they run here in the series. David Rossi up at the front of that, also with a pretty healthy lead, especially considering that they usually have fewer points on offer. Tremblay has been quick. He just needs to get a little bit more consistent out there. Bill Tyler is in a close fight with him with second in those points. Don't forget about Don Good, who has made steady improvements over the year. He is actually tied with Andre Bruno down there with 4th and 5th. And of course, let's take a look at the Constructors' Championship. This is done as a Nations Cup here, just like they did back in 1967. United States running away with things a little bit because of Olenek right now, but the UK, as usual, even without Mick out there on track contributing, is hot on their heels. Finland continuing to prove themselves better and better. They used to not be a factor in this championship, oddly. Anybody familiar with iRacing knows they tend to be quick, so it was strange to see them not really competing much in the Lotus 49. Austria and Australia, confusingly, in 4th and 5th, rounding out our graphic there today. And of course, let's take a look at today's race details as well. We've got round 5, as we mentioned, and there's only 16 laps to be run. It's a pretty long lap, especially in this car, that you have to get around. Same amount of laps that they were doing at Bathurst, just to make similar time. It is open setup, which we'll go over in a bit. That could give some drivers an edge, even though the driver makes a difference here. And they have points paying down to 25th in this series. So everybody should get points except for one lonely person today, as 26 drivers have shown up. As always, thankfully, you're watching this on the iRacing Esports Network. And, well, if you enjoy that, why don't you consider subscribing? All you got to do is go to their YouTube page. If you haven't subscribed yet, you'll know it because the subscribe button will be big and red. Click it. You won't miss a moment here on IESN, and you'll get to see the Lotus 49 series live each and every week. Taking a look at the qualifying, we were talking about who could manage to step up to the plate today, and Dave Price right now has provisional pole over Daniel Sadro. Sadro, who is usually a front runner in the Weekend Warriors series, seems to have found some pace here. He's coming around for his second lap, just ahead of Dave Price, a hair over 2 minutes at a 2:07, but he is 6/10 behind Dave Price currently, so he's got a lot of ground to make up. He swings it through 130R. Very difficult in this car. Gets it load up down into the Casio triangle. This is his last opportunity to try and improve with only 2 laps that they get here in qualifying. Up to the line, and he doesn't improve, so not going to be pole for Sadro. Price is going to follow him, and he does improve, so he extends the gap. Mick, that is impressive.
I'm just having a look at the weather. 101 degree Fahrenheit. That is a real hot lap, Joe. I wasn't expecting a 159 with this weather.
Yeah, it seems like the drivers will have a handful out there on a track that has got a lot of technical portions. And speaking of the weather, I mentioned that the setup tends to play a part in most cars around here. Did you ever find any tricks and secrets that give you that last tenth or two?
For this place, Joe, the power ramp's really important. You got to get a car to turn in, so that means low bump settings on your front shocks, and you need quite a high power ramp to not lose the rear end on these fast exits. You know, like all the way through the S's, turn 1, 2, turn 2, exit. You need your car gripped up. You don't want to be losing the rear end. So nice high power ramp is the key, really.
Colin Bentley around the final corner. He's trying to get his first lap time in, and he does. A 2:03.8. That's actually good enough for 16th, just at the bottom of the mid pack for Colin. But we're just on the last 20 seconds.
Sorry. Yeah, just noticed Peter Mickus up into second there, 2:02.04 now. That's a pretty good lap.
And Mikus, I believe, one of the Finns. No, Central Eastern Europe, I'm seeing he's claiming. So not one of the Finns here that has been pretty quick as of late and a newcomer, but the qualifying is over. So let's go through our starting grid for today. Dave Price is on the pole. As we mentioned, Mikus will be starting in second. Roman Pawlowski going to try and get a win. That is certainly not out of the question. And third there, Daniel Sadro bumped all the way to fourth. Billy Bob Wright, great qualifying for him. He's up to P5. Tommy Unhola in sixth position. Bill Tyler will be starting in seventh, followed by Marco Kika. That is certainly a Finn. And David Rossi starting ninth. Chris Murakami comes over from the Weekend Warriors as well, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Anthony Rice in 11th, Paulie Partinen in 12th there, Paolo Brenning in 14th there, Andrew Eng regular, Colin Bentley in 16th, Pascal Tremblay down in 17th, Andres Bruno behind him, F2 drivers there, Colin Coker in 19th, Johnny Bell round out the top 20.
Israel Alonso will be starting in 21st with Marco Ravioli in P22. Chris Thomas starting 26th today, followed by Matt Yeomans. These are drivers that didn't get a time, and unfortunately Don Good as well, starting well from the back to fourth. And back row Bob, Robert Reynolds, starting very back. I noticed he hopped into our Discord and even has nicknamed himself Back Row Bob on our Discord now. So
Brilliant.
Yes, I love that he's embraced that. We're waiting for the last of the cars to grid up. Just Unhola, Pawlowski, and Thomas yet to find their way to the grid. There you can see it is downhill, and this camera definitely accentuates it as we zoom across the grid and the pavement comes up to you. And then it is a short run into the turn 1-2 complex. Who's going to be brave enough to try and send one in Senna style? Hopefully they don't wind up like Senna and running into someone. As the engines start to rev now and the lights come up. Green flag is out here at Suzuka. Dave Price looks decent off the start. Mikus immediately slots into line behind him. Ooh, hard defensive move from Pawlowski, weaving back and forth a bit, but Billy Bob Wright going to be able to get into fourth as we had a car tumbling in the background. I'm not sure who that is.
I missed it too, Joe. They're all nicely up the front. Nice single file now as they go up through the S's there. Yeah, I missed that completely. Let's have another look at that.
Unhola got tipped by two different cars. We'll get back to it later. And unfortunately went just absolutely flying. Meanwhile, up at the front, Mikus is hot on the tail of Dave Price. They come up to the Degners for the first time. Pawlowski making it a trio, breaking away here, Mick.
Yeah, nice first lap so far by all these three guys. They've pulled a gap on Billy Bob there. Yeah, this is all about trying to work out now how the weather's making the track handle, you know. Oh, Dave's a bit wide there on the exit there. Peter Mickers has got a nice exit there. This could be on for into the spoon. Really hard to get round in now. It's not full throttle round in, nowhere near full throttle round this corner now. Into the spoon they go. Is Mickers going to go down the inside? He's looking like it. Oh, he's nearly... Yeah, he did touch him. He's thrown Dave wide there. And Roman's going to capitalise on that. He's going to catch up with the back of these two. This is on.
They're going to have a nice long run up to 130R. Another one that certainly is not flat out in this car. Mikus with a great launch coming up the hill. How daring is he on the first lap? Not daring enough. Going to back out of it. Still incredibly close. Another wide corner for Dave Price. This time he stays defensive as Mikus and instead is the one under attack because there goes Pawlowski trying up the inside into the chicane. Doesn't quite work out. This is giving a great gap up to Dave Price, who pulls away. A drag race down the front stretch up into turn 1 and 2. Pawlowski's going to have the inside into the quarter, but Roman starts to back out of it once again. Given space at the first apex, down to the inside, another side-by-side corner between these two. Mikus tries to defend up into the S's and finally has to give way.
Wow, that took a good all the way back from the chicane, that pass. Brilliant driving there by Roman. I know he probably hasn't done that much practice really, but yeah, we all know Joey's a seasoned veteran in this car now, so he's down for the chasing now, Dave.
As we hop on board behind him, this is Billy Bob Wright. They caught up a bunch because of all that side-by-side racing. He's still got Sadro that you can see right behind in the number 3. And then also they've got Marco Kika in there. They come out of the Dagners up towards the hairpin. Kink entry down into the braking here, but looks like everybody's going to be safe in.
Yeah, all nice and safe in there. On board now with Peter Mickers. Round we go, round the right-hander. Like I say, this isn't full throttle. Oh, Roman loses the back end there. Like I say, it's not full throttle down there. Dive down to the inside for Peter Mickers. Is not going to get it. Roman backs, cuts across there nicely. Nice defence there from Roman. Incidentally, you might hear a few names for Roman. Angelica Roman. His name is actually Roman.
Yep. Someday we'll get that corrected on iRacing.
Someday we'll decide on a name.
Meanwhile, Peter has been trying to get that second place back. He's watching Dave Price continue to extend the gap. It's 1.2 seconds that Dave has pulled away. Doesn't want him to manage to get too much of a buffer before he can try and get by. We've got lots of action, though, throughout the field. In fact, right here into the chicane, once again, Antonio Reese being challenged by Bream. Bream had the inside, but couldn't get the job done. Oh, and it nearly gets into the side of Reese once again, as they both get on the throttle down the front stretch. This has brought Partanen into the battle. 11th, 10th, and 9th all together as they come to turn 1, but they are going to stay single file.
Yeah, single file now. Lucky to be, well, all three of them are probably happy to be single file through that first turn now. These turns, Joe, are so tough in this car. You got to take a nice chunk of curb on each one of these apexes like they all doing now. Look, the next turn, the left-hander, is a sort of an acceleration zone. Someone ran wide there in front. It's Palabreni ran a bit wide there. He's got it back now.
Yeah, that lost him a little touch to Reese. Oh, and he's wide once again.
He's wide there.
Partanen gets to the inside through Dunlop. Colin Bentley looking for it as well, but he checks up. That's Tremblay, one of our F2 rivals in there, and that's Andre Bruno at the tail of the train. We've got 5 cars all fighting for 10th place, effectively.
Yeah, just a little shout out to Colin Bentley. I was chatting with him in the week. This guy, saying that, I don't want to speak about commentators' curse already. Punts him off there a bit, but yeah, they're both still on the track nicely. But yeah, this guy puts in a lot of hours in this car. He's there every night running this. He's a UK driver. Great to see him. He really loves this car, so yeah, great. Oh, someone span off behind him.
That was Bruno. Oh, and he comes back on track just in front of Alonso. That's Israel Alonso, who won't be faster than you for now, unfortunately. as that was a hard clout into the side. I'm not sure why he returned there. He had a chance to try and collect the car. Just doesn't seem like he was looking very closely.
Yeah, that was a terrible place to come back on the track there. Went it right on the apex of the exit of the spoon there, yeah. Bad luck for everyone there. I think was it Tremblay he took off there at the end?
No, that was Israel Alonso, the number 26, who unfortunately had come quite a bit forward, and now he's lost some positions. He's able to keep going, so maybe the damage wasn't as bad as I thought. We've lost 4 drivers, it looks. Chris Thomas has exited. David Rossi getting repairs, so is Nhola and Andre Bruno. Meanwhile, back to the front of the field. They've caught up to Price, interestingly. Pawlowski running down Dave. And Mikus has dropped back a little bit, maybe just getting himself a little bit of space.
Yeah, Roman was a good 6/10 faster on that last lap there.
And if there is a mistake somewhere from the number 4 of Price that we didn't see. They come up to spoon one more time. I thought that passes would be more likely into this corner, but it seems that even these cars with their long braking zones not able to try and get something done yet today. Up and off spoon, everybody stretching apart now. So a little bit odd here, Mick. At the start of the race, they were all coming together, and now it looks like they're kind of settling into things and not able to catch each other.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling. Well, I know for a fact Dave normally runs lower tyre pressures than a lot of guys, and so does Roman as he loses the back end badly there out the last corner there. And I think that may pay off. I'm not sure if Peter Mikus really knows the setup little secrets now, as he's so new in the car. You know, it sort of feels normal to see him up at the front, you know, battling with guys up at the front, but he's only been in the car, you know, for a couple of races, so maybe he's not quite up on the setup, but Dave and Roman will be. I know Dave will be running low tyre pressures. I'm pretty sure that's going to pay off at the end.
Let's head back to 14th spot, because we have a long train of cars led by Johnny Bell. They've got Ang, Ravioli, Lucal, Good, Yeomans, and Yeomans is at the tail of all of them. Oh, and going off, who is that? That's Ravioli.
That was Ravioli. Ravioli went off there.
Look at the replay. Not sure if he just straight lined it looked like.
Yeah, he missed his brake point by quite a way there. One thing to note about this this car into turn 1 and 2 there, Joe, is you're trail braking all the way through there. I mean, the top guys won't be on the power there at all through that corner until they come out of turn 2. It's really tough in this car. You've got to really pick your braking point and nail it, and then get the car turned in. It looked like Ravioli just missed that braking point, but I don't think he hit the wall or anything. I think he's back on.
Yeah, he got it going, just came right out of the gravel. If I'm honest with you, Mick, I hated that corner in this car.
I hate that, Joe. I did as well. I hate the corner in the car. I've been driving it all week, and I hate it.
Back up at the front of that group, Johnny Bell still under pressure. That's Ang behind him in the green machine. Bell going to stay a little bit defensive up to spoon, making sure that nobody gets a pass into here, but that shallow entry makes it awful tough for him. He swings wide. He should still be able to get the exit off the corner, and for now, he's going to stay safe from the number 16.
Yeah, and they've got a little bit of a gap to the guys behind them now, but I'm watching Andrew now. I'm actually sitting on board with Andrew. Gets his braking point nicely into the 130 yard. Nice apex there. A little bit too much of the steering lock there. Maybe he's held himself too tight. Bit of a gap now between...
And we got a battle for fourth. Sorry to interrupt, but Billy Bob Wright under attack. Sadro had to go into the first corner. He couldn't quite make it stick, and this has allowed Marco Kika behind him. There you see the number 7 starting to rock up to the gearbox of Dan Sadro. They're going to come out of the S's and into Dunlop Curve. All of them squirming to get on the power.
Yeah, I was just watching Daniel Sadro there. I know exactly what he was doing there. He was just watching Billy Bob's car up through the S's there. Oh, as Marco takes a huge chunk of curb into the first Degner there. And then he's really backed off into the second one. He's got to slow down there. Yeah, that had slow down written all over it. That was all four wheels over the curb there. But yeah, I was just going to say, Daniel Sadro, he was watching the back of Billy Bob's car then and just trying a different line just to try and get a bit more exit speed. It's really easy to do that is when you're following the car so closely through the S's up there like that.
This is all to decide the spots just outside of the podium that we're watching. We're on board with Kika now, looking up ahead, wanting to contribute more points for that Finnish club. Up and onto the back stretch, and Kika struggling badly out of Spoon.
Yeah, Billy Bob struggled as well. He was a bit wide on the apex on the exit of Spoon there.
Into 130R.
Oh, Billy Bob takes a massive chunk of curb there through 130R. I don't know if he got a slow down there or not. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I think he's safe.
Oh, he's missed the apex by miles.
That certainly isn't safe. And look at him park it on the next apex, though. Sadro looking to take advantage, but there was a car right there. Still, he's going to be plugged up behind the gearbox of Billy Bob Wright as they gain speed downhill into the first corner. And once again finds himself without opportunity, and Sadro obviously in a hurry to try and get by to see if he can catch the front group. They continue to lose touch. It is nearly 5 seconds up to the podium at this point.
Yeah, all that battling's doing that. Now just watch Daniel Sadro. He's just taking slightly different lines. Look, if you see him now, he's just taking a bit more curb there than Billy Bob. Now he's taking a later entry. Now he's got a nice run out the next corner now. Straight into Dunlop now, and he's back on his gearbox. It's so easy to do, Joe. You can just watch and see where the car in front's doing that, and you can adjust your line to be a bit quicker. And of course, Billy Bob's got the added pressure of just watching his mirror all the time.
He's been dealing with it well. Down in 12th position, it's been a hard fight between Tremblay and Bentley, two of our F2 battlers. Ooh, Bentley taking a desperate dive there for a moment, coming out of the S's. Oh, and something's happened to Billy Bob Wright. Down into the hairpin, he's lost the car, and this was all on his own. A bit too much mirror watching, maybe.
Yeah, oh, he actually dipped the wheels on the left-hand side. He was so far over to the left-hand side there, he dropped the left-hand wheels onto the side of the grass there, and, you know, that's only going to happen because all you're doing is there and braking. You can't do anything else but try and stop the car. That was the end of that. Such a shame there.
Watching the exit of Dunlop here, and you can see Sadro continuing to apply pressure. Looking fine at this point. That ground shot really gives you a good idea of just how much curb they're taking through that corner. And this is where the trouble starts. Turning a little too late. Yeah, oh wow, he was wide early. There it goes off. So that sent him back to 8th place as soon as he was able to get that going. Fell all the way behind Chris Murakami, who's adapted well from the Spec Racer Ford up to the Lotus 49. He's actually got the highest I rating of everybody here. He's got the #1 in his car, even though he's running P7 now.
Just watching Bill Tyler there into turn 2. He had a real slide going on there. I was watching from Chris's car there. Yeah, Bill's under a bit of pressure here, isn't he?
Bill is trying to recover back up to the back of Chris Murakami, who's really looking forward. Honestly, you can see how close he's riding to Bill Tyler, who's, speaking of I-rating, this is going to be an I-rating gain for Bill here. Not as much of one now, because there goes Murakami to the inside and manages to sneak through before the Degners. That allows Bill Wright to catch up to them. Can't quite pass through the Degners, at least at this point. It's not done yet. Bill and Bill just behind Chris Murakami, all braking for the hairpin. No change of position quite yet, so that means Murakami 6th, Tyler 7th, and Wright in 8th.
Yeah, Bill was he was a bit messy around that second half of that battle there, where Chris got him. I could see what he was trying to do. He was really trying to hold that line there as Chris got down the inside in the Dunlop curve. Oh, Bill's lost the back end there now. Billy Bob might have a chance here into the 130R if he gets a good run. It's not really happened, and Bill's moved over to try and get a tail for Chris now. Looks like they're all going to be the same positions all the way up to the chicane. Yeah, Billy Bob pulled out anyway there. He's got a good run now, though. Bill sort of defended a little bit there. Oh, that was a bit tight.
Tyler's able to keep him back, but he's not looking all that steady, and especially with the speed we know that Wright has. I was saying that an iRating gain for Tyler. He's sitting in 7th with the number 17 on his car. As a good run down the front stretch, but once again, just not a long enough straight for Wright. Out of 1 and 2, he gives a little bit more space to Tyler for now, looking to set himself up a little bit later, but we're already down to 8 to go. We're halfway through this race.
Well, that's gone quick, hasn't it, Joe? Yeah, I'm just on again now. I'm just watching from Billy Bob's car. He's the one now that can just look at the different lines what Bill Tyler's taking, just adjust his lines now up through the dike, take a nice tight entry down in the Dunlop curve now, and Billy Bob's going to get a nice little run. I don't think he's going to go for it in Degner 1 though. It's a bit scary. Both jump over the curb nicely there. Billy back on the power now, off down into second gear, get it turned in. Under the bridge they go, and Billy Bob will just be thinking about that lap where he came off here now for the rest of the race. Nicely on the brakes. Nice. Oh, Bill Tyler's giving him massive room there. Oh, he didn't need to.
Psyched him out. And that means number 8 of Wright is going to be able to take 7th place away from Bill Tyler to demote him one more. The good news for Tyler is he's got a ways back to Antonio Reese for now, so hopefully won't lose another position, and if he does, it'll be a minute before that happens. Let's glance in on our leaders since we haven't looked at them in a while. I'll give you an update. Price has extended the gap to about 1.2 seconds over Pavlowski. Mikus has not been able to get back by Roman since we last looked, still sitting down in 3rd position.
Just looked at their last laps now. Mikus was 2 minute 0.7. Roman was in the 2:01s. Then, although it was a different lap time there, they are quite even, aren't they, Joe? But I think Dave's got this now, hasn't he? He's in a really nice rhythm now up front there. Look.
Certainly things seems like he's got himself under control. Way back down in 15th. We were talking about Johnny Bell earlier. Well, Andrew Ang not giving up on him. In fact, a little bit wide at the first apex for Bell. Could open up the door maybe for Ang, but he does not himself get the run out of the long sweeping right-hander leading onto the front stretch, so that won't mean much of an opportunity down into 1 and 2.
No, quite a big gap there between the two cars now. Tight entry into 1 there for Andrew Eng. Another tight entry into 2.
Ooh, Billy Bob Wright got another position past Murakami. This was a mistake from Chris. Out of the S's. There's another car going wide through there. We've seen that once before today. Watching the replay. There he goes. And Billy Bob says, thank you very much. Makes my life a whole lot easier, and gets him back to 6th. Just about back to where he was before.
Yeah, and all that is his throttle application, Joe. Like I said before, hardly any of these fast corners are full throttle, especially not 130R, but nowhere near his full throttle is the Dunlop curve there. And yeah, Chris just getting it a bit wide there, just through throttle application. That's all that was.
While that was happening, we were first looking at the battle between Ang and Bell. That's still going on and actually getting a lot closer. Ang managing to do great in the first part on the run up to Spoon, but falls back a little bit on the second part. Takes a tiny look on the entry and then comes back to the line. A big slide from Johnny Bell part way through the first apex. Swings it back down with a good cut in on the second half, and once again, critically where he needs to be, Johnny Bell is fast and keeping Ang behind.
Yeah, that's right. Just down into 130R now. Brake at about 150 metres in now. Johnny Bell runs a little bit wide, but still, yeah, nice there. Andrew Ng got a bit of a run down into the chicane now. How's your luck? Oh, Johnny Bell misses the first apex there. They both hit the second apex nicely. Again, Joe, this section here down onto the front straight is not full throttle until you get to about the finishing line, believe it or not. So now they'll be on full throttle all the way down into the turn one. Trail braking if they can, leaving their brakes late as they can. Oh, Andrew Ings, I thought he'd left his brake. I thought he'd missed his braking marker then. He was a bit uncomfortable there on the way in.
A little bit of a connection problem there for a moment for Eng, but he comes back. They do have an incident limit in this series that they need to watch out for, 17. So can't cut too many corners or have too many offs around here, or else he will disappear. Stays right with him. This is again for P15 overall.
Looks like Johnny Bell's got a bit of a better back end on his car. You know, he can get the rear coming out on these S's, and that sort of built him a gap, you know. Looks like Andrew Eng's back of his car's a bit more gripped up. So, oh, someone's coming back on the track right there.
That's Rossi. F2 championship implications. And he comes out in front of Yeomans, who doesn't look like he's going to quite be able to get by.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because he was in the pits for a long time, wasn't he, Joe? I didn't know if he disconnected or came back on, so he's obviously come back on. But now he's, down in 23rd. I mean, this is big for the champion, the F2 championship.
Yeah, he had problems very early on. I had forgotten about that, and he has returned to try and scalp whatever positions he can, but he's 5 laps down, so at this point, unless somebody else falls out, we'll get Colin Coker, it looks, so there's one. But unless somebody has a DNF right here on this lap, I think this is as far as he's going to go, just getting safety rating from there on out.
Yeah, and I'm just checking out Bill Tyler. I mean, he's in 8th place, so he's going to get a nice haul of points against David Rossi this week.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We were watching Tyler before, who was battling with Wright, couldn't hold him back, and now he's still with Murakami after Murakami made a mistake and let Billy Bob through as well. Their battle continues. They've got Antonio Reese starting to close in 9th position, so they can't get too comfy here in the final 5 laps.
Maybe not worth going to it, but just to let you guys know, Roman's caught up a bit with Dave now. Looks like he's only about a second and a half away from him now. So I don't know if Dave's had a bad lap or Roman's picked up the pace. Well, Roman's done a good lap. He's done a 2:02.95, so that is a quick lap. So maybe it's on for the end of the race here.
It's certainly on for 11th position. Paolo Bream and Colin Bentley coming through the Degners. Staying right with him. This has been a trouble spot for a couple drivers here up into the hairpin. Both of them, though, are getting it woed up. Turned around that 180-degree bend, looking to get on the throttle. Interesting, the 2 different lines that we're seeing from the drivers as they try to find whatever speed they can.
Nicely through there for Colin Bentley, now into the spoon curves, and they look quite equal there. Colin Bentley, a nice tight entry there. I don't think it's going to happen in 130. Looks pretty even to me there.
Jumped back up to Pawlowski and Price because Roman is definitely gaining now. It's down to 0.5 of a second on Dave. And I think this is the point at which we're seeing Roman start to push to know that he's running out of opportunities, and if he's going to do anything, he's got to take it to the edge and make something happen.
Yeah, we was pretty impressed with Dave's qualifying lap, weren't we there, Joe? Roman's just done a 59.8, which is faster than that.
Fuel starts to burn off, cars getting lighter. Drivers able to set faster and faster laps around here. The temperatures have actually mildly gone up, but not enough to really affect the pace around here, I suspect. It's about 103 degrees Fahrenheit currently. It's hovering now at about 6 to 0.5 of a second behind Dave Price. Roman Pawlowski has dropped Mikus. Oh, and something happened to Bentley. Bentley is in the pits. And missing a nose. Oh, you know what? This involved Bream, actually. Paolo had an off coming through 130R. You'll see it right here. Lost it right in front of Bentley. Both get collected. And unfortunately for Colin, that is day over. big shunt for Paolo, unfortunately.
While you're watching that, Joe, I'm sitting on board with Roman Pawlowski there. He's on the limit. He's pushing so hard now. I'm just watching his hands as he drives through these corners. He's really fast hands now. It's probably one of the best drives I've ever seen him do, to be honest. He really is going for this now.
Stay with this since this is for the lead, but a heads up that Wright has managed to run down Marco Kika for P5. Hasn't passed him yet. I'll give a shout if that gets any closer, but in the meantime, the battle for P1 was close at the start. It's spread apart, and now it has returned. Are we going to get a run to the line here? There are about 2.5 laps to go. Billy Bob has finally closed it in to within 1/10 of a second down into the first and second corners. Drops back a little bit as he's not going to get a chance here through the S's without a major mistake from within.
Billy Bob's a lot better through these S's now. Kika missed a lot of apexes there, but here's the important one. How's you run out of Dunlop curve? Nice tight line by Billy Bob there. I always favour that tight line. Seems to get you ground, you know, as you come out of this corner now. Down into the Degner. How's your luck over these curbs? Nicely over the curbs by both of them. Bit of a tighter line by Marco, and he's lost it there. Oh,
Big
it's on now.
Slide coming out of the second Degner, and that gives a chance to Billy Bob Wright, but he's covered off down to the hairpin, wide off the corner now. He's going to look for the over-under. Look at that clever move from Billy Bob Wright. Who would have thought? Gets him out of the hairpin, and I think he's got this done now as Kika drops away.
Yeah, Marco was watching his mirrors there, and he missed his braking point into the hairpin, ran wide. Billy Bob saw that. He had all the grip in the world when he got out on the exit there. I don't know, he got such a run out of the exit, but it was so sweet. And he's nicely out of the spoon curve now, down to 130R, and it looks like Billy Bob's got this nailed. Really brilliant move there by Billy Bob.
That move of the race for me, even though unfortunately it only gets him up to 5th, and he was battling for 4th before. I'm sure he'll take it, considering his issues during this race. Let's glance back up at the battle for the lead. Unfortunate for fans of Roman, he's fallen back now. It's 9/10 of a second. Maybe pushed a little bit too hard. Is it possible to overheat the tires, especially in these high temperatures?
Yeah, it is, Joe, especially in the braking zones. If you brake too hard and then try and turn in, sometimes you do find that. I think a lot of people have found that in the hairpin today. So you can overheat the fronts, and if you do lose the back end badly, I mean, none of these two guys up front really have, I don't think. You can overheat the rears, so yeah, it is a problem. And yes, you can do it by just being a little bit too hard on the car in general, you know, around the whole lap. So maybe that was a bit of the case for Roman there. Just does seem like he's just dropped away a little tiny bit now. Just only a couple of tenths in it though, and on the last lap, you know, Dave was a little bit quicker.
It's only going to get one more lap to try and do it, because it'll be white flag next time by. They've had no problems from Mikus for quite a while. It is now 3.3 seconds back that he has fallen. There's Peter coming out of Spoon and up the backstretch himself. Big climb up over that crest before now you can see 130R from inside the cockpit. He's also dropped Sadro by a big chunk. It's 10 seconds back to the number 3 car. So Sadro not looking like a podium for now. Oh, and Pawlowski has regained on Price. I know we've glanced at Billy Bob back here, but it's been down to 0.4 of a second now.
Yeah, he had a really nice entry into the chicane there. I was watching that while you guys were watching the other car there. Yeah, in the turn 1 and turn 2, he's favouring that late apex for turn 2 is Roman. Over the curbs now. Dave doesn't hit the curb, he doesn't hit it at all there, so that's going to... it's
Yeah.
so... Joe,
He's trying
it's so
everything.
frustrating. He really is going for it. His hands are all over the place.
Okay, so put yourself in Price's shoes here, Mick. You've had time to watch Roman and see where he's been strong. Where are you expecting it from him?
If I was Dave now, I'd be really trying not to look in the mirrors, you know, because Roman looks fast. You know, he's really on it. Yeah, it's so tough to do. It's really tough to beat both of these guys, you know. Let's just see how they get through.
We'll go back to it in a little bit, but Chris Murakami looks like he's had an accident in the first corner. He's fallen down the ninth. That is a shame after he was running a little bit higher than that for much of the race. We got to stick with this all the way to the end with how close first and second place. We wondered who was going to take advantage of the lack of Rob Olenek here today, and we wondered if Price could maybe do it. Well, he's got to survive it for just a little bit longer, and Pawlowski is really starting to threaten now. It's down to 0.2 of a second. This is the closest that Roman has been since the start of the race. Up the backstretch and into 130R. Casio Triangle could be the key for the number 5. He's got a great run on it. Dave Price stays defensive, doesn't cover completely, just in the middle of the track. Deep on the brakes for Pawlowski, and still locking them up, is not able to get by. Robust defense, but fair defense to keep the lead for Dave Price, who wins today at Suzuka.
Brilliant defense there by Dave. That was top driving there by Dave. That's exactly how you stop the pass there. And Roman's happy with that, wobbling the steering all over the finishing line. He's really happy with that.
Kika just behind Billy Bob right at the finish. As long as Billy Bob is clean on the throttle, he should be good here. Mika's not going to have any answer for him, but still a 6th place for the Finn. And how about the two behind him? Reese and Tyler, car 18 and car 17, but they're finishing 7th and 8th respectively. That is going to be a great day for them.
Yeah, Bill Tyler, I don't have to remember you finished 3rd at Bathurst last week, so he's really making some moves in the F2 title now.
That number is going to come down for him on that car very quickly if he keeps this up. Meanwhile, the battle for 12th. This is a 3-car fight. Bell, Ang, and Yeomans, and Matt's going to go backwards a little bit here as he goes off the 130R, pushing it too hard. In fact, a bit of a battle in front of them between Coker and, excuse me, that's a lapped car. That's Rossi. But to the line, this is going to be tight, and Bell just barely holding off Ang as they almost go side by side across the finish. We'll come back in just a moment as we'll have a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll have the official results as well as driver interviews just after you see all the upcoming races here on GSRC on your screen.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Welcome back to Suzuka International Circuit. Well, we just watched round 5 here in the Grand Prix Legends, and it was a thriller to the end because Dave Price was awful close to Roman Pawlowski, but it was 0.4 of a second separating them at the line. Pawlowski's going to have to come back another day and try again. Nikus with a podium, but a distant podium comparatively. 3 seconds back, just didn't have the pace for those top two. Daniel Sadro as well, falling behind by the end, but still a 4th. He was hounded earlier on by Billy Bob Wright, but Billy Bob, with his own mistakes, meant that he wasn't even near Daniel coming to the finish line. He still managed to top 5 just ahead of Marco Kika with a late pass on him. Antonio Reese, we talked about the number 18, finishing in 7th position, has got to be patting himself on the back. If you're not, I think you have high standards, sir. Bill Tyler just behind him in 8th position. Hartonen, we didn't cover his climb up to 9th after starting in 13th. A bit of a quiet run for him. Eric Lukel was involved in the wreck at the start involving Unhola, and he rounds out the top 10.
Pascal Tremblay, F2 driver in 11th. He'll be happy with that, I think. Johnny Bell follows him in 12th. Andrew Eng, the veteran of the series, in 13th. Followed by Matt Yeomans in 14th. Marco Ravioli, never saw much of him today, in 15th there. And Israel Alonso in 16th place. Don Good down in 17th. And Chris Murakami, that's a shame for him. Top I-rating driver of the whole race. Went wide at Dunlop Curve there, and shame for him. Back row Bob doesn't do too badly today, Joe, in 19th place. Colin Bentley, the new regular, in 20th.
21st goes to Paolo Brame with David Rossi coming back to try and gain a little bit of safety rating, but he is only good enough to climb to 22nd with the laps that he finished. Colin Coker behind him in 23rd. Then you get to other DNFs today. Bruno Unhola and Chris Thomas did not start, interestingly. Not sure what happened with him there. We've got Dan Sadro ready to talk to us, our 4th place finisher, who had a bit of a quiet second half of the race, but certainly was in the thick of it in the first half. Dan, you had Billy Bob in front of you and Marco Kika behind you. It must have been hard and having to have eyes in the back of your head there.
Oh, for sure. My heart was beating like you wouldn't have believed. It was great fun while it lasted. Chasing Billy down, and of course, if I made a millimeter of a mistake, I knew Marco was going to get me. So yeah, that was very scary, kind of.
Well, you held it well because everybody else around you fell away, and you got the 4th place. We were stressing about how hard it is to get on the throttle at a lot of places around here, especially some of the fast corners. I don't think people appreciate how tough the 49 is at Suzuka. So from a driver's perspective, especially with these hot temperatures, what was it like for you?
Oh, these cars are crazy in general, but on a tough track like Suzuka, it just amps it up. When you're there are areas where you're turning while you're on the throttle, and if you have just a little bit too much throttle, you're going to get the back end out and potentially do something and crash or something like that. It is just really just a tough combination, and I'm just thrilled to have survived it, really.
Now, we noticed that Chris Murakami has come over and joined you from the Weekend Warriors. Have you been spreading the gospel of the Lotus 49 to some of your friends over in the SRF?
Oh, I try to every chance I can. These are just fun cars, and it's always fun to try a different kind of car. The SRF is very, very different from the Lotus, and yeah, no, I was thrilled. I saw Chris in a practice session last night and kind of chatted with him. Congratulations on him for he had a great race. Unfortunate ending, but congratulations to him. Congratulations to Antonio, who's also a big SRF guy.
Oh, fantastic. Let's hope that he keeps showing up because we were impressed with his performance as well. Dan, again, congratulations on a 4th today, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week.
Well, thanks. Hopefully I get to talk to you guys too. Have a good one.
There's Daniel Sadro just outside of the podium today, who didn't seem to want to talk to us, but we got to get going for we've got DGFX coming up next, so stick around. There's lots of racing in store today with 7 hours. It's a 6-hour race with covering of qualifying before that coming up in just a little bit. But a big thank you before we get to that goes out to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and also to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Again, make sure and subscribe so that you don't miss a moment here in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen, and additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Mick, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check us out on social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. The next race is going to be at Brands Hatch. We're going over to Mick's neck of the woods. That'll be Saturday, October 19th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, see you on the track.